It was the ultimate Aussie assault on the home of British stadium rock.
That was totally uncharted waters. We just made music we loved. It actually defied everything you could imagine. And it turned out that we were hugely successful. When the soccer audience is singing an Australian song, that was a really amazing moment. I'd never seen anything like it. The entire audience were pulsating. It was extraordinary. The band was on fire that night, and Michael's performance was just exceptional. You know, Wembley Stadium, just another stadium, but it wasn't.
The year is 1991, and for INXS, it's full of emotion. Their European tour is going gangbusters. So their maverick manager, Chris Murphy, decides to book Wembley, home to some of the greatest live performances in rock and roll history. To add to the pressure, he decides to film the concert like it's a Hollywood movie, with 17 cameras rolling on 35mm film, maybe the most expensive rock film ever made. And in the blink of an eye, Wembley sells out.
Where have we come to see?
The band own London that week, like the Beatles in New York 25 years before them. So INXS, the little pub band from the northern beaches of Sydney, step onto the biggest stage of their lives in front of 75,000 Brits. What they captured was lightning in a bottle. INXS at the top of their game, with a mad Wembley audience. A concert film called INXS, Live Baby Live.
You could feel what the gig's going to be like almost the day before.
As soon as you hear it's a sellout.
Yeah.
You know
And then the pressure's on anyway, right? I walked out first, kind of like, holy smokes, you know, like, hello.
Yeah.
You know, if someone was to ask me, is this our pinnacle, I would say the gig, the audience, which is just the best audience in the world, created a stamp in history.
A moment in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, second song in was New Sensation. I don't think any of us expected the whole crowd to kind of pogo up and down, you know, in sync, bouncing, pulsating like a heartbeat. It was extraordinary.
In the 80s and 90s, Aussie bands had to work hard to make it in the US and UK, the two beacons of rock music.
Hey, way to go.
For INXS, it didn't come easy.
All right,
They were sending a message years before they broke through.
Interestingly, almost to the day, 5 years before, we opened for Queen at Wembley Stadium.
Queen fans in England are rabid. We were like dodging bottles, loaves of bread, tomatoes. What's this, inks? Who are these guys, you know what I mean? And we had to do 2 nights. So after the first night, we knew it was coming up the second night. I nearly wore a raincoat.
And I remember we all backstage sort of said, one day, you know, we're going to headline this kind of thing. And then here we were 5 years later doing that.
Well, last time we played here, they threw loaves of bread and tomatoes at us, and now they're giving us little trophies. Thank you very much. Thank you.
England was so super important to us because the Beatles were from England. You know, the Rolling Stones were from England. I mean, the Queen lives in England. It's a part of our heritage. You know, we have a Union Jack on the Australian flag. You know, this is an important place. The prestige of that event was England's way of going, yes, okay, well, you're okay now. And I remember the first time we jammed together, all the 3 brothers
played in different bands. They'd never played together as a band. And Tim pulled it together in 1977 and just felt there was a chemistry there straight off the bat.
You know, there is something very real about the three brothers that couldn't have done it without the other three non-brothers, which made them, by default, brothers. So we were a band of brothers.
Being a band of brothers, it gave them the courage to back themselves. 10 of the songs they played that day at Wembley were brand new, off their album X.
And yeah, songs like, you know, The Stairs, for me, watching that from this particular show, it gives me goosebumps because the band was sort of really on fire that night, and just the performance and Michael's performance was just exceptional.
You know, the European audience, they all love to sing and chant. So being asked how I felt when we were playing Disappear, which I wrote with Michael at that Wembley gig, was like, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about that, because the do-do-do-do-do, that part was a holdover line that Michael wrote intending to put lyrics to it. And Chris Thomas, the producer, went, no, leave the do-do-do-dos in there because it's kind of a hook, right? So to hear the whole of that stadium start singing that line was just mind-blowing, considering how loud it was on stage. The audience was, I could hear them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we were very loud on stage.
It was very, very loud.
By My Side is, I think, a quintessential INXS ballad. I mean, the key was, that we learnt, was if you're in a big gig, it doesn't mean you have to sing harder. Michael was able to do the opposite. He was able to bring it down. Therein lied the power for him to deliver really beautiful melodies.
Every time, I see your face, I see your face.
I'll never forget Michael saying, well, I've got actually really poor eyesight, you know, so without my glasses, all I see out there is a fuzz.
Michael's thing was, because he couldn't see how massive the venue was, he just performed to the first 20 rows, and that's what was always so intimate.
I actually can't see more than about 10 foot. So I haven't seen more than 10 foot since about 78. I got my eyes tested once and I was actually blind. I thought everybody saw like that. And I got contact lenses, then I did a concert and terrified me. I could see them, you know, they do this, they go, and all this sort of shit. So I took my contact lenses out on stage and I've never worn them since. I haven't seen an audience for a good 10 years. It's my secret. If I see that fucking audience out there, I fucking run.
So here we are in 1991 in London, England. And it was really the video age, shall we say. MTV had started almost 10 years before that in North America. And by 91, everything was shot on video.
But their visionary manager, Chris Murphy, knew that nothing looked better than Hollywood standard 35mm film. And he was willing to bet the whole takings of the Wembley concert on that.
It wasn't until we're just about to walk on stage and Chris goes, well, by the way, all the money that you're making from this gig is going into that film crew right there. Have a good gig, and sort of pats us on the back, and we're like, what?
But I don't think any of us made money from the Wembley Stadium show. And, there was, possibly 78,000 people there. It was all spent on the filming and the recording and just making sure that we had the best to capture that day.
Am I in this business for? We're getting paid £1.4 million for this tonight. I'm getting $5 grand. $5 fucking grand. $5 grand. That'll pay my fucking champagne bill at the hotel.
The secret ingredient to many of INXS's songs began with keyboard player Andrew Farriss, who would create a lot of their melodies, riffs, and ideas.
He's a great writer, and I guess in some ways he has formed the direction of the band musically to a certain extent, because most of the songs we end up recording are written by him.
I've had things fulfilled playing with these people, but just dreams, These are the things we've done. Look at the things we've done. Incredible things.
and they've let me do the writing.
With songwriting partner Michael Hutchins, they would create the INXS songbook and capture the hearts of the audience.
Over the years, we've tried to sort of make music that your feet can move to and your head can think about or your heart can feel, you know.
For Michael, the Wembley concert is him at the height of his powers as a performer and writer. Someone who brought his sensitivity to the world through music.
What you're seeing with Michael is a performer who's a really deep and sensitive person, you know. There was always this little hidden boy trapped in there somewhere that you wanted to figure out. He always retained that persona.
I think people probably don't realise how much work we did put in. We just toured and toured and toured. As AC/DC said, you know, a long way to the top. This show was, 13, 14 years into our career. At that point, we had performed close to 2,000 shows. So, you know, Wembley Stadium, just another stadium, but it wasn't.
INXS were an indefinable combination of musical styles that came from the very different characters in the band.
Playing with Andrew was such a pleasure. Andrew was the dark and the stormy professor, the mad scientist guy who does a lot of the funky guitar stuff and keyboard stuff. His role was just the cool muso on stage, just smashing out really good parts. Tim's just great. He's just the vibe master, and his guitar licks and his riffs were always the iconic tinsel on the top. You know, Tim's cheeky behavior, he's funny. You know, he really worked the stage. He was very, very good at being able to work with Michael and sort of knew when to kind of back up out of the way. But it's also, hey, look at me, you know, I'm Tim. And played great that night. Kirk was always just really reliable. If we had to do a guitar solo or we had to do any kind of solo, it would want to be one of those things you could sing. Kirk's chops were just solid. And he had this sort of just easy breezy swagger about him, which made it kind of relaxing.
The last piece of the puzzle was a bass player called Gary Beers, who was the perfect foil for John on drums.
We developed this incredible telepathy where we wouldn't even have to speak at all. We just look at each other and we get this lock stare. And as we're playing, I'd be doing something and he'd be doing something. We get this grin going. And because we don't even need to talk about it. And we're like, yeah, that was a good one, you know. The drum style that I developed was augmented by Gary's really awesome bass playing. We came through this whole period of the late 70s where it was disco, it was punk, it was ska, it was jazz fusion, it was soul, it was all these things that we were victims of all of it, you know. The biggest problem we had was that no one could pinpoint INXS's sound because we were just this big salad of all these things that we all loved to listen to.
Yes, it's a long time ago that we made some of these records, and I think it's testament to Michael and Andrew's songwriting that our music still gets played. You know, as a band, we were just really authentic and really sort of organic. We were a bunch of guys that could really play their instruments. We weren't faking it, we were real, and I think that comes across in the music. The fact that the songs are still played on radio all around the world, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, well, who pays the price? You know, it's a great R&B style track that sort of features Michael's personality and the way he sings. There was something kind of swampy, like there was a real kind of almost a old world Motowny groove with a kind of R&B slipped in there as well, so it was kind of cool.
When we started in 1978, we couldn't get gigs.
Yeah, so weird, isn't it? To think that we come from doing those little gigs
and then
here we are.
It is actually psychologically bizarre.
Who'd have thunk?
There was so many other pinnacles and amazing moments in our career that weren't captured.
For sure.
And I think that is why we look at it as the quintessential gig, is because that's the best representation that we have on file, and we should clap. Thank you.